Hey, Michelle. Hi. Right. We're all set to go live. Hello, everybody. Good to see you all. Thank you for being here. Yeah, we're today we thought we'd talk about circuits, which is actually something that usually comes towards the beginning of when one is introduced to human design. And let's see, I'm going to start sharing. So let's go here. This is a circuit board. Okay? You've got centers and then you've got lines where the energy flows. This is reality. This is in your phone, in your computer, anywhere. So this is how we want you to think of the circuit board of the human being. Here's another real life circuit board picture. Here's another one, the centers and these lines and the electricity flows. There's another one, you can see the centers and all these lines that plug in. Here's another one, and you can see the centers and all the lines where everything plugs in. So this is just think of this like an electric circuit board, and we know that there's actually electricity flowing through our bodies. There's voltage, in the nerves, and in other ways in our body. So this is a really good way to think of it. We all have the same circuit board as humans. We know that animals have different ones, and reptiles have different ones, and cells have different ones, plants have different ones. We looked at that, but this is the human circuit board, and where it's colored in, that means there's a definition, there's constant energy flowing, and where it's not colored in, there's not constant energy flowing. We have the channel, but sometimes it flows and sometimes it doesn't. It's not something we can rely on. And the energy flows through. So this is my circuit board, and there's no way I can change it. That's just the way I am. And I have really strong constant energy here from the 30 to the 41. I have strong energy, always constant, reliable, here from the 27 to the 50, from the 44 to the 25, and from the 29 to the 46. These are my constant forces that I can live or not live. It's a life force. And then there's also some hanging gates. I have a hanging gate here, which isn't as strong because the energy doesn't constantly flow all the way through. But this hanging gate is in a defined, colored in center that has constant energy. The same with this one and this one, the 25 and 40 in my chart. These are hanging gates in defined centers. Up here, I have hanging gates in undefined centers. They are even weaker because they don't have that fuel coming from a defined center. Okay, now in every circuit board, there are ways in which things flow. Here we have red and blue, that's really connected. Here we talked about this really connected clear channels. Now there are specific pathways, and there are 3 specific pathways on our energy boards. And it's highly unlikely that anyone has all of the channels of any of these circuits. We can start with the tribe one here, that's the clearest. All these black and red. Black and red doesn't mean in this case design or design or personality. It's something different. So just any of these colored in channels, they're really very much in the center of the whole board, and they are what constitute the tribe. You can see that here the heart, the ego, has 3 channels going from it out of the 4. That's a lot. It's got this roundabout way. It's sort of on the inside. If you look at these 3 channels here and here, it's the innermost. Here also the innermost. I call these, I see these almost like these channels here, almost like wings of a bird. And we'll get to that at some other point in another context. And so that's kind of how you can remember where they are. These 3 from the heart, not the one that leads to the G center, which is about love and direction. So the tribe doesn't really have love and direction. They don't know where they're going, and they're not really about love. They're about doing the same thing and survival as a tribe. They have a motor, a constant motor. There's a constant drive in the tribe. Yeah, we'll come back to it and talk about it a little more afterwards. Then, so here, this was the inside. Then on the outside, the outermost channels, here the outermost channels, and on the central column, also the outermost channels are what's grouped as the collective. So the tribe is all about supporting each other, supporting the tribe. The collective is about sharing to the collective. With these channels, you want to share your information to everyone, to the whole of humanity. You care about humanity in a grand way. And in between the tribe and the collective is the individuality. So these are the central lines. Here, the central line from the root to the solar plexus, from the root to the limbic. Here in this middle column, all the way up and down the central line. And here one end, central line, plus this extra channel, individuality. And the individuality is all about empowering yourself and others. Individuality is about you being unique and allowing that to happen. So, how do we do this? We'll go into each one in more detail. Which one do we want to start with, Lorenz?
Yeah, we can start with the tribe. I have something to say to these 3 as well. To me, they make up a very interesting way and a kind of comprehensive way to look at reality or to look at humans. Like there's these 3 parts. You have the collective, which is interested in society as a whole, humanitarian, you could say, as a whole, and is also, we will see that when we're getting closer, interested in looking at problems and problem solving and what is going on through this lens of looking at society as a whole. And the tribe is is interested in family and immediate surrounding. It's not so much interested about the whole of society. That's a bit too big, but it's really the immediate community around you. It's your tribe, your family, maybe parts of the village that you're living in. And the individual really is often in conflict with both, because collective and tribe, they have in their individual ways, they're always interested in the continuity of the tribe or in the continuity of the collective. And to organize that in a seamless, easy, well-oiled way, there are patterns to be followed. In the tribe governed by the 45-21, you have rules about what you eat, about your clothing, about how you behave in the tribe. And as a collective as well, you want to have laws. You want to have rules. That's the 45-21 in the tribal, exactly. And to make society function as a whole, to make the collective function as a whole. An individual isn't interested in any of that. Individuality is really interested in mutation and bringing out the new from inner knowing, not from logic understanding, but from a mutation that happens within, and then something new is born. And both the tribe and the collective, they don't like the new. They want to keep the old. So it's an eternal struggle, you could say, between these forces that I at least find in my life very well mirrored. And I find these circuits very helpful in understanding the different energies that play out between people who have a different focus, but also between society at large, family, and then myself.
Yeah, and for yourself, if you're looking at yourself, look at where your channels are. Look at in which circuit your channels are. I have 2 tribe channels and 2 collective channels. Now, it's also when we're looking at this picture here, we can see that individuality it goes through all centers. The collective does not have the ego, that heart center. It has all the others. The tribe does not have love and direction. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not about that, and it doesn't think. Doesn't have insight, doesn't think. It's just doing what it's always done. It takes care of its the people who belong to it, and makes sure there's nourishment, care, and
brings up the children,
raises the children, and creates new children. That's also in there. And let's see. There's also something about the tribal. It's tactile. It likes to be touched. People with tribal energy, they want to be touched. And for them, it's not about that love that we find in the G center. It's the hearth. It's the hearth of humanity. It's the hearth of the tribe. For the collective, the collective is very visual. They need to be seen, they need to see. And the individual is about sound. They need to be listened to. They are acoustic. They do not like to be told anything, right? They're unique, they're individual. They do what they do. And we talked about the deafness gates. So the deafness gates are all in the individual circuit. Deafness gate up here from the green pointing down, here from the brown triangle. No, here. Yes, here.
From the root.
From the root, this middle gate, from the root, this middle gate. The numbers, I can see the numbers here better. So the 39, the 38, and the 43 are deafness gates. And it's really, you know, I know Celia was trying to figure out who's what, and it's very difficult in human design to really guess somebody's design. But one of the things that you can really find, I've found, is if somebody has deafness gates, they just don't have the capacity to listen to you. They just don't listen, they talk. They're not interested in your ideas. They're absolutely not interested in your experiences. They're not interested in your logic or anything like that. They are interested in their uniqueness. They have, I guess we're with the individuality now. They have a knowingness, which can be very difficult for them because they know or they don't know. And when they're asked something, they don't necessarily know right now. So they need to get used to saying, I don't know. And then when they do know, they'll tell you.
It was a phase when I had to learn that. And I said, I don't know to everything. It's quite annoying for my surroundings, but it was coming much more into the truth of who I am, because 90% of the time I don't know something.
Yeah. And that's where people with a lot of individuality can really be conditioned. They are conditioned to have the answer, so they make up some answer.
Especially if you have the ashna undefined and you're trying to be certain about things that you don't know, it's creating a mess.
Yeah. And they are different. You know, like Lorenz said, they are there to make sure that the tribe doesn't stay the way they are. And the tribe will accept that if they are operating correctly, because the tribe also kind of knows that it needs that uniqueness to stay alive. So the tribe will accept it, but first it will try to make you just like everybody else, do all the same things. So what happens? The tribe gets a new child. The child has a lot of individuality in its circuit board, and that individuality cannot reason and cannot go back on experience. It just needs to wait until it knows. Just needs to wait. It's unpredictable. And because that's a conflict, an inner conflict often for the individual, it can go into melancholy. The others do not understand that individuality. And they so want to be accepted in life. But life is unpredictable for them. And because of that, that's also where these gates and channels, many of the gates, are sometimes called melancholy gates. All of the gates in individuality have the possibility of melancholy. You don't have to be melancholy, but it's the possibility of melancholy. And each gate has a different type of melancholy. And the way to overcome that melancholy is to be creative. You know, create that new, create, whether it's art or music or new ways of thinking or new ways of being. As soon as melancholy hits, go into being creative. use that energy to be creative. Anything more on that, Lorenz?
Just on the last thing, yeah, overcoming melancholy. It's definitely a creative state. For me, the most important thing is not try to reason with it. When it's there, it's there. And if I do not put any weight on it, it's actually enjoyable. But when I try to get out of it, or somebody asks me why, and I start thinking about it, that's not the right path. It is simply there, then it's gone. There is some of them are stronger than others and have a potential of depression. But that only happens if you're living life incorrectly and homogenized. But it's a very important point for me that melancholy is simply in the design, and it's nothing that needs to be changed, and especially nothing that needs to be reasoned with. And then, as Una says, there is the biggest bouts of creativity come from that state.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, definitely melancholy can be very enjoyable. I remember, especially as a teenager, I actually really enjoyed my melancholy. And I guess my head never got into the way. It was just, yeah, it was the way it was. But I find it very helpful to know that that if I want to get out of melancholy, all I have to do is be creative. And I just follow the energy. Where am I interested in being creative?
Yeah.
Yes.
So for me, it's not finding out which of the three I am, but it is energies that overlap and integrate into in different aspects in my circuit. So I have most of my gates in the individual thing, but that doesn't mean I'm against tribe or against the collective, or however, that's simply words that we use to describe the circuits and the concepts. It is much more a layering and finding out, playing with, that's a tribal energy, or that's a collective energy, or that's an individual energy, to get a better understanding of how my car actually works.
Well, I think that's interesting you say that, Lorenz. And maybe that has to do, I looked at your chart and you're pretty full. I think you've got 7 gates, 6 gates and 5 gates in the different categories. But of course, being a reflector, you don't have a channel. So me too, I have 7, 5, and 6 gates in the different categories, so pretty equal. But when I look at my channels, that's where I see the difference. That's where I can really feel the tribal aspect of me and the collective aspect of me, and much less individuality. So if you look at my chart, this is collective, 4130, and this is collective, 2946. And these 2 channels are very tribal. So the only thing I have really in individuality is here the 60, the 23, and the 61. True, yeah. So, yeah, just those 3. Okay, so let's look at what the red and the black, the difference. That's just a sub-channel. So the red is a sub-channel, the black is a sub-channel of the whole collective. We can go here, where we see how this is the red, this is the black. So again, it's not about design and personality. It's just a way of marking the two substreams, the subcircuits. Let's start with the collective. Collective that is about sharing. We have the black and we have the red. The black is mostly on the left side. The red is mostly on the right side. The black is about logic and understanding things. The red is about the abstract, the sensing, the experience, the feeling of how things feel. And if you look at it carefully, we'll go back here because it's easier to see. So we know that the left brain is connected to the right hand in the right way, and the right brain is connected to the left hand. So there's a crossover point here where the red, the abstract, the emotional crosses over and goes up here. That's the way the energy flows within this center, this crossing. And the logic goes from being on one side to going to the other side. The interesting thing is it also happens then here between the sacral and the root. So you can visualize this energy, everything pushes up from the root, it pushes up here, and then it crosses over, it physically crosses over in the sacral. And the energy of the logic crosses over in the sacral. So you have crossing energies within the sacral. And okay, yes, let's go there. And at the same time, you have an energy that goes straight. This channel goes straight through the sacral. So now we have like a 6-pointed star in the sacral. We add in these energies, now we have an 8-pointed star. And you can already feel that 8-pointed star, that's the generative energy. And to get that energy of this fan, of this 8-pointed star moving, we have this channel. This comes in and it just creates the movement, the frequency of this channel, this center turning. Yeah. Where do we go? Here.
The different circuits or these different energies, they have, you could say, different goals. For the collective, the keynote is sharing. The idea is that we find ways to keep society as a whole working and also making it better. And the two under circuits, they are how we do that. So the logic understanding circuit is all about having an idea or finding a pattern and thinking about logically making a concept of what would be better, and then testing that concept to see, how can we better society, a better law, or a better rule, or a better organization of things. So that is one way to go about it. One way to go about it is thinking about it, projecting a pattern, and then testing it. Another way to go about this, it is experiencing and learning from experience and applying your experience to the problem, so to speak, at hand. That's how I see the difference, or can feel the difference of these under circuits in the whole of the collective circuit. So the collective, it has a goal or an aim that you can get to with different energies, either by logic and understanding or by abstract and sensing as experience.
Yeah, yeah, excellent. It's that the logic, understanding, it's like you say, it's looking forward by deducting from the patterns. And the red, the abstract, the sensing is looking backward in time, what happened, and deducting from there which way to go. Yeah, always looking at how to improve. You could say, I don't know if you remember, it was a long time ago, we just briefly touched on the formatting energies. That's these three channels here in between the root and the sacral. These three are very powerful. They're pushing up. And if anybody has any of these channels, you can pretty much say that's what you really need to focus on, because that's so powerful. So we have that that pushing up here, the black, going over into the 515, which the 515 you might remember from plants and animals and so on. The 515 was basic to all life forms. It's that rhythm, it's that just that inner rhythmic life form. I'm getting a little lost here.
Yeah, by the same token, you have individuality, which has kind of, you could say, if you talk in goals, I'm not sure how accurate it is, but just to have an image, you can maybe talk in goals. So the goal of the collective is to find ways to organize society. The goal of individuality is to, maybe different expressions, to know who you are, or to express your unique self. And it's always about mutation. And in that, the knowing, that's the keynote of the bigger circuit, is something that just arrives. It simply comes. So for example, you know what to do, or you know a truth. There is this little example that we brought. It was in a different context, about the plane that crashes in the swamp, and you have the different energies figuring the way out. And the energy of the individual is, I just know it's this direction. I can't explain you why, but it's this direction.
And I don't even want to explain why. Just
yes.
I don't care about you. I care about the individuality.
Yeah. So these channels are about things that simply arrive, knowing in different contexts that presents itself. Yeah. And the centering, I don't know, do you have anything about the centering? What the aim of that one is?
I just wanted to say, if you look at individuality, you look at, from the penta where we spoke about these channels in the power realm, there's the one, and there's the two, and it's all about direction. So the individual circuit, it has that direction, it has that vision that it wants to keep and can hold it. That's why, you know, it's very visual. And it's almost like you can see this is like an arrow going up the center in the individuality. It's very sharp, very intuitive. The tribe is instinctive. The individuality is intuitive. Also, you know, apart from the individuality having the deafness gates, it also has that ability to provoke. So 3955 from the root to the sacral, it's about provoking emotions in others so that the others can change. So ideally provoking in a way so that the others change for the betterment. And also on the other side, from the root to the limbic, that channel of struggle, where there's always struggle, but knowing what to struggle for. It's also a very individual channel forcing its way up. And then here in the middle, the formatting energy of the root, it's about mutation. It's there, it's not, it's there, it's not, but just by being in the presence, when you have this channel or one of its gates, you can change what's happening. And mutation is not something you can say it's going to happen at 9:15. It just happens when it happens.
And the centering circuit, this little one, it's only 2 channels, even if it looks a lot longer, centering next to the knowing, in the individuality.
Oh, yes, this one here.
Yeah, it has 2. Yeah, exactly. It's from the 34, is it? From the 34 to the 10, and from the 25 to the 51, 2 gates of love, and it's about individual expression. It has the least of all the centers. It's a very small circuit, and it deals with unique expression, empowering yourself and others to really surrender to the sacral responses and really surrender to what is true for you without having a lot of access to more information. So it's yeah, it's a very just be yourself without minding the consequences kind of thing, the centering circuit energy.
Yeah, it's the 3410 from the G center to the sacral center is about living your own convictions, behaving in the way that you want to behave rather than behaving in the way everybody else should. And in that way, you have a lot of influence just by behaving the way you behave with this channel. The others are impacted and conditioned by that behavior. So in my thinking, it comes with the responsibility of knowing how you behave and being aware of your behavior. But that's just me. That's not human design. Also the 25, that little gate here, that hanging gate. It's a hanging gate, isn't it? It's a full channel.
So 2551 is the channel.
Yes. So thank you. The 2551 You know, the 25 is the inanimate. If you remember the inanimate, when we talked about plants and animals, the inanimate just have that one gate, the 25. And it's also one of the gates of the vessel of love. It's the love of spirit. It's also sometimes connected with shaman priestess in the sense of, well, all is well, all is good. So these are the people who say, it's all good, it's all well. But the full channel also comes with a sense of competition. So something just to look out for when you feel competition with another person, there's probably some kind of definition in there. And it's just part of the mechanics. It's just the way it is. There's, it's just about being aware of it. And that's what's the competition, being part of that individual sense. So for people with a very highly defined individuality, may well feel in their uniqueness a sense of competition. I'd go over to the tribe. Is there anything more about collective and individuality, Lorenz?
No.
Okay, so the tribe, I'm just going to move this over a little bit. Found somehow. Anyway, the tribe has one of these channels that is going to vanish in 2027. We talked about that when we were talking about 2027, how this channel from the heart to the solar plexus, to emotion, is about agreements and planning and making contracts, having insurance, having governments, and if you do this, I do that. And in that way, bringing everyone together into the tribe. And this is going to go away in 2027. So a fundamental aspect in the background frequency, not in the person frequency, but in the background frequency, the fundamental aspect of the tribe is going to go away. What else can I say? So we've got these circles here, and then we've got this one channel going up to the throat. This is the way the tribe expresses itself, right? It's the only way the tribe expresses itself. You may remember the 45 is a bit like the commander. It can move whole groups. It tells a whole group, let's go to the beach. Let's go swimming. Let's go into the other room. That's the strength of the 45. And it's the strength of the articulation of the tribe. It's bringing the tribe together in that way.
To me,
yeah, what else? This circuit, it's just two channels, both going from the root to the emotional center, root to the splenic center. My wings is how I see it.
From the sacral, not from the root. They're going from the sacral to the solar plexus and from the sacral to the spleen.
Now, I didn't hear you, and I don't know whether it was you, Angel.
Yeah. Is it better now? Okay, Piliaka can hear me. But
yeah,
Una's...
wonderful.
Oh. It looks like Una is frozen. Maybe it's something on her line. Yeah, it looks like. So we lost the picture, but what I find really cool with the ego circuit, she's already back. It's you can almost tell a story, and with the tribal circuit, it is clear that the energy comes. It starts at the root. The root is the pressure center, and it has two ways to get to the heart, or three. I mean, it can also go through the sacral, but it comes to the heart, and from the heart it goes to the throat. And you can follow these channels and kind of tell a story. They all have their own keynotes that kind of make sense. It starts with it starts in the root, and if we follow the right-hand side, it's the channel of the bride and groom, of needs and bargains, of having a marriage contract if they agree to the conditions. And then the energy goes up to the heart, from the solar plexus to the heart, and you have kind of this, Una described it in contracts. There's also an aspect of family in there. The 40 is working, being able, like having the willpower to provide for the tribe, to provide for the family, but only if it gets what it needs from the sacral. And then you have the expression from the 21 to the 45, where you have the 21, which defines the behavior of the tribe, and the 45, the commander, who kind of voices the behavior, or is the voice of the tribe, and can also move the tribe, but shouldn't get involved too much in the 21's business. Yeah, it's kind of, you can follow the energy, you can read about the keynotes, and you kind of get a story of what the tribe is really about. The tribe, it's a bit easier because it's not so many channels and gates to look at. Can do the same with the collective and individuality. And the energies always start at the top and at the bottom. So at the pressure centers, it starts in the root, and goes to the throat, and it starts in the head at the top and goes to the throat. One is to express actions and manifestations. That's from the root. Everything that presses up wants to be expressed in action, or in or wants to be materialized in some way. And everything that comes down wants to be expressed as thought, as concepts. It's pressure to think, and then conceptualizing the thinking until it can be expressed. I think Una was just talking about the defense circuit. I didn't touch on that.
Okay, can somebody just let me know that when I don't hear Lorenz, is that because of my internet? Do you guys hear Lorenz all the way? Are you hearing clearly?
Oh, so you don't hear me. Okay, that makes things a bit more difficult. Yeah. I guess. Yeah, now I'm not sure if Una is frozen again or not. Might be because she hasn't moved in a while. Okay, then I'll touch on the defense circuit anyway. The defense circuit is about making and raising children. On the right, you have these two wings of the eagle. The defense circuit is from the sacral to the solar plex and from the sacral to the root. And from the sacral to the solar plex is a channel of penetration. It is the possibility to create intimacy through your energy. You can penetrate others people's energy field and you can create intimacy even where it is very unlikely on the, in general. So that's the right wing of the eagle is about making the children, and the left wing of the eagle is about nurturing and raising them. Is the mother and father gates, respectively, if I remember correctly. At least the mother gate is in there. Can you hear me now again, Una? Doesn't look like it. Okay. Yeah. Let's see, actually. It doesn't look like she can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, you can hear me now. Okay, wonderful.
But I missed a big part of it. So
yeah, I talked about how the energy moves, and then from the root and the head, and then I said something about the defense circuit. But you're very welcome to add to that.
Yeah, I suppose it doesn't matter if one hears it twice from different perspectives. I find the defense circuit very interesting, just these two wings, because I have three of the gates, one channel and a gate. And it's also very much because it's the sacral, it's very much about those sacral sounds. It's really those guttural sounds that just come from the body. And I was reading a little bit from Ra yesterday, and his how he describes these sounds, because he doesn't have these sounds. Found that very interesting, that realization that manifestors, projectors, reflectors, they just don't have that sound. They cannot talk to their body in that way. Whereas we can, as generators, we can talk to the body and you'll get a yeah, no, sort of kind of reaction. Of course, when we're not correct anymore, we've lost that. You know how these days parents will say, use your words to their children. Well, if they're generators, they're really it's great for them to just go by just by their body movement and listen to what the body does. And these channels, these two channels, they pull the people into the heart of the community. You become part of the community with these channels. It's like being under the wings of somebody. And yes, it's also creation. It's also sexuality. It's how the next generation is created. So you have that link from the generator, which is that internal motor. You have that link to the limbic, the intuitive, to the body, you know, the limbic aspect, the physical aspect, and caring and nurturing and sexuality. But also sexuality here in in the penetration. So people with an aspect, either of these gates or the full channel, they are able to penetrate into someone else, into that other person's field, and really pull them in, bring them in, pull them in to the fields, the tribe, the connection. That penetration can, of course, sometimes feel uncomfortable to others when they don't want to be penetrated. And it's almost automatic. You know, it's also something that I use very much in doing healing work. I have the ability to penetrate into somebody else's aura to create change. Yeah, that's the defense circuit. The ego circuit is, yeah, it's about teamwork. Is there anything more, Lorenz?
Yeah, I think you can expand on that. I rather touched on the different channels, not so much about the goal of the ego circuit.
Yeah, well, the ego circuit, it's very much about touch and smell. Remember, I said tribal is very much they want to be touched. You know, the tribe gathers together, and you think of Kiliaka, you think of the tribes in the Amazon, they all cuddle and fall into a puddle together. They just love that touch. But it's also about smelling good. So people with tribal channels, it's very important that things smell good. And that smell isn't even necessarily about an actual physical smell. It's just that sense of smell. It doesn't smell right in here. You might remember the smell of the school you attended. What did that smell like? You might remember what smells in towns smell like. For me, for example, I was born in Scotland, but left when I was 9 months old. And the smell of the coal with which heating was made, and the smell of butchers, it smells different from other places and that I've lived in. And there was a sense of home to those smells for a long time. Or you can walk into a shop, and the detergents they use, they can put you off, or they can be comfortable, or there might not be a smell. It might just smell very unclean, but not be an actual smell. Just it's how it comes into your circuit board, I guess. Yeah. So hugs and smells. And they do that. The tribe likes to hug and they like to smell so that they know who you are and where you're at. What do they need to defend? Do they pull you in? Where are you at? You can tell so much from a hug. And so the tribes, they don't really trust anything unless it smells right. Yeah. Anything else, Lorenz, about the ego circuit? I think you talked about how it builds up, you know, energy, money, so individuality is about changing the world. Collective is about sharing your information, sharing who you are. The tribe is about supporting each other. And then with the sharing, we have those who are into the logic, the understanding. They need to understand things, or the abstract, the sensing of things. Individuality is about you either know or you don't know. And being very centered within your own behavior, your own way of doing things. And then we have the tribe, about support. Support means defending, and it means this is who we are, this is how we work. Okay, well, maybe you noticed that on the last video, Celia actually went in and put time prints on so that it's easy for everybody to find what we talked about. Now notice how I said that is, you know, people who say that's a guttural. It means that I'm a generator. See, I'm saying I'm noticing it in myself. Anyway, Celia, maybe she will do that again for this video. I don't know, but that would be wonderful. Thank you, Celia. We watch this afterwards and put in the timestamps for everybody. And so we'll just have a little chat, but I'll stop the video. See you next time. Okay.